Oh, wait. You people are still here.
High school. Craziest 4 years of my life, dude. Nothing even comes close. So much has happened personally to me and just to the world in general since August of 2016 when I was a freshman at Linn-Mar. Oh man, I don't even know where to start with this. I feel like I have so much to say. I thought about making this video a few months ago back when school was out for good, but I felt like I was processing way too many emotions then, and I feel like I'm almost out of the woods on that front, so here's me talking. I walked into high school with a certain group of people, and that group of people, there are very few of them that I feel like I walked out with. I made some new friends along the way, but those friends you make in elementary and middle school, you really only walk out with a handful of them if you're lucky. I can think of maybe a few I can count on one hand that I feel like I really made it out with them. In high school, you are going to be faced with a lot. You're going to have to learn how to balance a new workload. You basically have to start learning how to become an adult. You learn bigger responsibilities. You start doing much harder tasks. You need to learn how to ask for help. And you need to let people be there for you when you need it. Because if you just curl up into a little angry, sad ball, you're going to hurt yourself and you're going to hurt the other people around you. I feel like I did that for a good chunk of high school. I just kind of curled up into a ball and just counted the seconds until I got home, until I could binge something on Netflix and fall asleep. And honestly, if I could go back and change that, at first thought I'd say I would, but it's gotten me to the point where I am right now. In high school, there was teachers that I thoroughly enjoyed, teachers that I would like to consider friends now that I'm officially out. And then there are the teachers that I never want to see again, and then there's a bunch of teachers in between. But high school teachers, just the whole range of them, kind of taught me that there are people out there that care, and there are people out there that don't. There are people out there that care about nobody but themselves, and there are selfless people out there that couldn't give a crap about what happened to themselves just as long as they were helping other people. I got a lot of that from teachers, and I got a lot of that from a lot of other people too. I feel like my freshman through midway through my junior year, looking back on it now, I dealt with a lot. Starting my freshman year, I had to watch the girl I loved date another guy for years. I was starting high school. My little brother was in the hospital for 9 days. Had a PICC line strapped to his body for another 2 months after that. And then the Cubs won the World Series and everything was good for a few weeks. Then I started swimming. I was a little freshman, but I remember Donald Fafar. I remember him kind of recognize what this little freshman was going to do for the Linn-Mar swim team. And honestly, to this day, I thank Donald Fafar for kind of giving me that recognition back when I was a freshman. Because I was cheering my teammates on, and I thought that was just something everybody did. But Donald Fafar, He told me, listen, you got to keep this up. You got to be that when I'm gone. He saw me in him. And to this day, Donald probably hardly even knows who I am, which is fine. But in some twisted universe, if Donald Fafar ever watches this video, I just want him to know that he really, after giving it a few years of thinking, looking back on it now, he really changed my life. He really did. There are a lot of people who have changed my life in these last 4 years. My coaches, my teachers, my friends. Marching band was amazing. Like, my mom probably says to me multiple times a week, thank God the pandemic didn't take away your marching band season, and I couldn't agree with her more. Because marching band means so much to me. Like, all those people, and people in my section, and fellow section leaders, drum majors, directors. I'm glad I got to say goodbye properly. And I'm also glad that I got to say goodbye properly to swimming. If any of the guys are watching this video, I'm about to drop a big knowledge bomb, or a big truth bomb. I don't know. I'm about to drop a bomb, so be ready. I almost didn't come back for my senior year. Junior year, that first semester of junior year, on top of just the grueling regimen of swim season, it took a lot out of me, and I got to a point that at the time I didn't see a way out of. And it was nothing really bad was happening in my life per se, but I got to I let this happen to myself. I let myself get to a point mentally my junior year that I didn't know how to get out without help. So I reached out to my parents. I reached out to my now girlfriend, who, she can attest to this. We had one hell of a ride in high school. There were times where we were best friends, there were times where we were dating, there were times where we weren't dating and we were angry at each other. I just felt like I've spent a lot of high school angry and sad when I didn't need to be angry and sad. I guess my point here is, you are going to have a lot of problems in high school. It's just the way it is. If you come out the same person as you were when you came in as a freshman, you did it wrong. You did it horribly wrong. I feel like I've learned a lot. I've powered through a lot of painful days. I've lost a lot of friends, whether that be to tragic accidents, stupid fights, or just losing touch with them, which sucks. And I guess that's kind of one reason why I waited until now to make this video, because so much happened between the date of March 11th and March 19th. My entire world flipped upside down. On March 11th, I was watching the Iowa State-Oklahoma State game with my dad. And I was scrolling through my phone with just a bunch of sports stuff, and I saw a news push. If you guys watched my coronavirus video, you kind of know where I'm going with this. But I saw a news push that the Jazz and Thunder game, yeah, it was Jazz and Thunder. Jazz and Thunder got canceled, and I read into it, and then there was about a minute left in the Iowa State game, and we never ever turned the channel to something else. But President Trump, he had a press conference that night. So with a minute left in a tight Iowa State basketball game, we flipped over, and I can't remember what he said exactly. I think that was when he announced the travel ban to Europe. just because we didn't know what was happening at the time. And then by the time the press conference was over, the Iowa State game ended, and Iowa State had lost by 6, which really wasn't a big shock because we had one of our worst years in recent history this year. But then I turned on ESPN, and within an hour of Trump's press conference, Adam Silver postponed the NBA season, and I thought to myself, oh shit. It was at that moment that I knew the world was about to change big time. And during third quarter of senior year, I only went half days. I only had band, math, and anatomy during my third quarter of senior year. And I just remember profusely checking my phone that entire day. And every time that I looked at my phone, a different sports league had postponed their season. First, I think it was NHL, and then, no, it was MLS, NHL, and then baseball, I think, got postponed that next day. But the Cubs were supposed to play their final spring training game on that Thursday, and it got rained out in Arizona. Do you know how rare it is to get rain in Arizona? I did not take that well. I kind of needed my closure from baseball, and I was pretty upset that day. Maybe it was the next day, I'm not sure. I'm not afraid to admit that there have been days in this quarantine where I have just completely crumbled and burst into tears. There have been a few days that I've done that, just because so much has happened that it is hard even for someone like me to process it, because I feel like as a human being I process things pretty well, and that's why I feel like I'm good at helping a lot of other people, because I feel like I process things well. But these last 10 weeks, nothing trained us for this. Nothing prepared us for something even remotely like this. I had my last day of high school on Friday, March 13th. That was my last day of real high school, not the online crap. I don't dog any of the teachers or administrators that put together that online course. I know how hard that was, but in my eyes, my last day of high school was March 13th. Everything since March 13th has just felt shifted. It's just felt wrong. I don't feel like we're living right now. I kept calling this year my victory lap, because I got accepted to Iowa State over the summer, and pretty much all I had to do was just keep doing what I was doing, and I would be fine. And up to spring break, I was doing fine. I mean, granted, the senioritis was starting to hit, but honestly, the end of the year blahs kind of hit me that week before spring break, and that's kind of what happened. But I was not mentally prepared to have my last day of high school be on March 13th of 2020. My last day of high school, actual high school, was supposed to be on May 20th, 2020, which is yesterday. There are friends and teachers and other staff members around the building that I never got to say goodbye to, and there are people that I'm never going to see again, and that's just, I don't feel like that's fair, because as a senior, your entire year is like one big goodbye, and we had that last goodbye stripped from us. I feel like I'm one of the luckier seniors, because I got my last two big things done. I got marching band done in the fall, and I got swimming done in the winter, which I'm so incredibly glad that I went through with swimming, because I just feel like junior year I was in such a dark place that I didn't really know how to move forward, but my friends and my family and my girlfriend convinced me to keep swimming, and I'm so glad I did. And I had a blast being a captain. This was by far my favorite year of swimming. By far. Because I feel like a lot of guys looked up to me, and I feel like I really impacted a lot of guys on that team. But everybody else, all the show choir kids, all the athletes, some athletes might have missed out on Division I scholarships. They could have gone to major leagues and been in Hall of Fames, and that might have been taken away from them because of this pandemic. It just doesn't seem fair that everybody is in this shared misery. Everybody has been robbed of life experiences, the right to a normal life. There are a lot of people who have lost one family member, if not several. There are some people I know that have basically had to run their families because the rest of their family is sick. And that's just not right. I guess the entire reason I'm making this video is I guess this is just kind of my goodbye to high school. I know it's going off on a bunch of tangents, but I guess I just feel like this is kind of my goodbye. Because as much as I couldn't wait to get out of high school and just move on with my life, that of course there's going to be that part of me that is going to miss it, that wishes I could have done more. And honestly, I think that's normal. The reality is this situation sucks. But I think the biggest thing I've learned from high school is life is too short and too complicated already to let your emotions get the best of you. Don't spend your time holding grudges and hating whatever you can hate, or letting yourself be sad for too long. It's okay to be sad, but don't let yourself stay sad, or it is going to turn into a hole that you will not be able to dig out of by yourself. You will need help. I've been there. I'm not afraid to admit that I've been there. But you need to surround yourself with people you trust, people that love you, people that you love, that are going to be there for you. I feel like I have been blessed with two amazing parents. Like, my parents don't watch a lot of my videos, but if they do, I just want them to know this. My parents have been divorced. Yeah, that's another thing I went through my freshman year. During all that other stuff, I was watching my now girlfriend, the love of my life, I was watching her date somebody else, which was eating me inside. My brother was in the hospital with a knee infection, and my parents, they had been divorced for about a year already at this point, but my mom had finally moved into her own place, and we are now in between two houses. But the great thing about that is that the houses are literally around the block from each other. It's a 3-minute drive between houses, and it's perfect for us. But even though my parents have been divorced for about 5 years now, they are the two most loving and supportive people that I have ever known. Like, they have, one thing that I really love about my parents is that they've been treating me like an adult. Not just these last 3 weeks when I'm legally an adult, but I feel like they have treated me like an adult for a few years now. I think that's one reason why a lot of teenagers get frustrated with their parents, because their parents don't let them breathe. Their parents don't treat them like young adults. My parents treat me like a young adult. And that is a huge blessing, because they let me make my own mistakes. They let me do what I want to do for the most part. But they're there when I mess up. They're there when I want to talk. And there have been days in this quarantine where I have been a screaming, sobbing mess. And they have sat there and listened to every word of it, and they've helped me process. They've helped me process a lot of crap in my life. I don't really know how to word this, but I haven't watched people I love die per se, but I kind of have. Because back with Madison in first grade, one day she was healthy, and then fast forward a few months, she's gone. She lost her hair. She lost her ability to walk without assistance. But one thing that still strikes me to this day is she was a 7-year-old girl dying of cancer, and her attitude never changed, not once. She was always as happy as she could be. She made these little buttons that she handed out to people. They say stupid cancer on them. She was telling everybody to not worry about her, just worry about getting through your day. And I wish I could have lived more of my life to this point like she did. High school has taught me to celebrate the small victories, because there are going to be periods in your life where there are going to be a lot more bad days than good. If this quarantine has taught me anything, it's that. There have been stretches in high school where I have a lot more bad days than good, but I have learned to power through the bad days, to confide in my closest circle of trusted human beings. I learned to celebrate the small stuff, because the small stuff can get you through the day. The small victories have gotten me through a lot of days. But you need to learn as a person, like, how to manage your emotions to a point where it's considered healthy, I guess. I'm not sure. But I feel like I've spent too much time angry, too much time depressed. There's time for all of those emotions, but I feel like I spend too much time buried in those emotions. And now I feel like I'm a more reasonable, level-headed human being. Instead of searching out people to blame for my problems or something to hate, I'm just working on improving myself. It's nobody's fault. What can I do better? There are a lot of people watching this video who were probably friends with me in high school, and a lot of you are probably people that I will never lay eyes on again, which is very sad. But it's the world we live in now. We didn't get to say our proper goodbyes. But I just want everybody out there to know that I'm gonna miss high school. I'm gonna miss a lot of the people that I've met in high school. I'm gonna miss a lot of the teachers that have molded me into the young adult that I am. I'm gonna remember all the memories that I made, all the good times. I'm gonna remember all of the horrible things that I said, the horrible things that I did, because I've learned from them. It has made me a better person. And a lot of people say to me, you know, you're a really good person, and I always fire back with, you know, that's debatable, and I need to stop doing that, because one of the hardest things for me to do is not love myself per se. I feel like I'm pretty happy with the way I am, but I'm sure a lot of the people closest to me can attest that I don't let go of past mistakes easily. I let them weigh on me. I beat myself up for longer than I need to. And that's why I kind of fire back with, it's debatable that I'm a good person. Because I mean, we're all human. We make mistakes. But the thing about those mistakes is that we've got to learn from them so we don't do them again and make ourselves better for it. I guess if enough people have said I'm a good person, I guess that makes me a good person. But there are a lot of days where I don't feel like I'm a good person, just because I feel like I close myself off sometimes, and sometimes I treat people unfairly. But I'm working on it, and I'm in a much better place now than I was when I started high school. So as painful and as much of a crucible as high school was, it has made me a better man. And even though my last day of high school consisted of one online class that lasted 10 minutes, and my last experience in Linn-Mar before graduation was dropping off textbooks, winning a tailgate set, and walking to my car with my hands full. That's the last experience I will have at Linn-Mar before my graduation. In my building with a mask and gloves, watching a bunch of people I went to school with no protection on because they don't care. Think about other people than yourself. Think about, if you're having a bad day, imagine somebody out there who's having a worse day. Yeah, you might have a fight with your friend and you might think it's the worst day ever. But in the day and age we live in, the person who lives down the street from you might be grocery shopping for their family of 8. That the rest of them have the virus, or they're all sick, or they just can't leave the house. And there might be a scared 16, 17, 18-year-old kid who has to run the house. Every action you take has a ripple effect, especially in this day and age. If you go out without any protection on, there odds are that somebody's gonna get sick eventually. You might not get it, but you might be a carrier. Just learn empathy toward others. You may not feel a certain way, but other people do feel certain ways. And you've got to respect that. You can't change how somebody feels. That's one of the most valuable lessons I've learned in high school. It is nobody's fault for feeling the way they do. People can feel however they want, but it is how they deal with that feeling that defines the choices that we make. If you're angry and you throw a huge tantrum and you punch walls and break chairs or something, I don't know, people are going to look at you as some kind of rage monster. But if you respond to that anger by dealing with it in private and hashing it out with the people that are closest to you, then you'll be a better person for it. I feel like I'm not making any sense anymore. I've been talking at this camera for half an hour, but I am going to miss high school, as much as it may have seemed like I wanted to get out of there as fast as I possibly could. I am going to miss it. I'm glad that I'm moving on with my life, but I am going to miss it, and I am going to miss a lot of the people that made me the man I am today, so. I feel like I have more to say, but maybe that's all for now. Thank you guys for watching, and stay safe out there. Bye-bye.